Greetings everyone and welcome. In this video, we're going to set up our C# development environment. So let's go ahead and see what we require to install. We're going to start by installing the .NET Development Kit. That's the SDK for C# development. And also we'll be installing the Git Bash CMD. This is a more elevated CMD over the native Windows CMD, and it's the tool that we will be using to interact with the .NET CLI. After installing the Git Bash, we'll be installing the Visual Studio Code, and this will be used as our code editor. We could have used the Visual Studio as a full-fledged IDE, but in most parts of this discussion, we'll be using the Visual Studio Code. When we start developing the project for this discussion, then we'll be using the Visual Studio. But for the learning purposes, we'll be using the Visual Studio Code. It's also an IDE, or it's a code editor from Microsoft, but this one is more lightweight than the Visual Studio itself. Alright, so let's go ahead and start installing these tools one by one. We'll start by the .NET SDK. So I'm going to go to the browser here. I'm just going to close this one. Um, right, so I'm going to the browser and I'm going to search for .NET SDK, and I'm going to this URL, the first URL here, and here it's gonna give me some options. We have the standard time support, which is the latest .NET SDK, and I am running Windows on 64-bit architecture. If you're running another platform, please just go ahead and download one for your platform. I'll be using the standard term support SDK, which is 7.0. We also have the long-term support SDK, and this version is 6.0. I'll be using the current one, the current latest, that is the standard term support with 7.0, right? So go ahead and download the SDK if you've not already done so. Mine I've already installed, and I don't need to download it again. Alright. Okay, so if I go ahead and again, we're going to install the Git Bash. So go ahead and Google the Git Bash, and that will be the gitscm.com. I'll click on that one again. It's gonna suggest for me the download because it already detects my platform, and again I am running Windows and I have already installed the Git Bash, so I don't need to download it again. But if you've not already done that, please just go ahead and download the Git Bash and install in your system. Alright, and the last tool that we have to install is the VS Code. So go ahead and insert the VS Code, and the first URL is the code.visualstudio.com. Go ahead and you'll find a link here to download the Visual Studio Code. So go ahead and download if you've not already done that. On my side, I've already downloaded the VS Code, and so I don't need to download it again. All right. Okay, so after that, if I go to my applications here and try to search for Git push, you can see I am presented with an elevated CMD, and here I could say .NET. Then if I want to get the version, then I'm going to say .NET dash dash version, and as you can see, I am already running the .NET 7.0. Right? Okay, so after you install all these, what I can do, I'm going inside my desktop here, and now I am currently inside the desktop. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create a folder here, and I'm just going to call it stepwise, like that. Get into stepwise, and now as you can see, I am already inside the stepwise folder. What I can do, I want to open this stepwise folder in my code editor, and what I can do, I'm just going ahead and say code space then period, and this should open my text editor here. So my code editor is already open. All right. Okay, so one thing that you want to do when you install the Visual Studio Code is to go to the extensions market here, and we want to install one of the extensions for our development requirements, and I'm gonna search for C Sharp. So the first one, the green and white, is the one that we're looking for from Microsoft. If I were to drag this one, as you can see here, this is the one that we're looking for, right? So go ahead and install this extension. It's gonna help us when we start developing our applications using Visual Studio Code. All right, mine is already installed, so I don't need to install it again. Right, but if you've not already done that, please just go ahead and install this extension on your platform. Right. So that is it for the configuration and for the development environment. And we're going to stop here in this video. When we come back, we'll start by creating the first application using C Sharp. So thank you very much for being with me on this one. I will see you in the next one.